Welcome back to the Super Expander Show, guys. I am so excited for today's guest. My goodness. I'm so excited to introduce you to Carol Maloney.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Corey. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. So just a little bit of context. Carol and I were actually just kind of new friends here. We just met a few, I don't know, I guess months back inside of her yoga studio. And I've had the chance to attend a workshop and then actually facilitated an event. And she's just created such a magical space. I knew that she had to be here on the podcast because she's got such a cool story.
I've had a journey. I've had a few of them. I am 50 years old, just turned 50.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. I, at one point, didn't think I'd ever admit being 50, much less being this old. I am really excited for the first time in my life on what I'm doing. I've always worked for other people, so not working for yourself, but having complete, seeing if your ideas have resonance. And seeing what your intention was turn into reality, and then it turns into magic. We're really proud. We're 7 months old. We have a long road ahead, but we're really proud of what we're doing. It's not just a yoga studio or a wellness center or a hemp store or, kind of like just a rental event center. We've just done so many things with this little space.
I know it's very dynamic space, and I can't wait to kind of go through all the nuances of what's going on inside of Well and Wonder. Just the name in and of itself really it exudes that. When you walk into the space, it totally exudes that. But before we dive into what you're doing now, see, I don't mess around here on the Super Expander podcast. I go straight to the meat because everybody really wants to know who you are deep down. I think it's a question that we gloss over so often especially we're both rooted and based in the DC area. And I feel like it's such a common question to start with. Well, what do you do? So I'm flipping the script, and I like to go a little differently and really just talk about who you are deep down as a person, because I think that's the most important thing. So tell us, who is Carol?
That's a great question. I mean, I'm still figuring it out at 50 years old, right? Are you from Colorado or the West Coast? Because I'm from Colorado. I spent 4 years there before moving here. And I'm originally from Iowa. And we never ask people what you do. I still don't. I still never ask people, what do you do? What do you do? I got here, it was very off-putting at first. And I had a date last week. I didn't ever even ask him what he does. I don't still know. Eventually I'll find out, or I'll ask him to talk about work, and we didn't talk about work. So in Colorado, when they ask you what you do, it's like, what do you do on the weekends? What do you do for fun? What do you do to fill the hole in your soul? And so I'm guessing that question for me would be, I am a dog mom. I'm a kid mom. I have one going off to college soon. So I'm about to be an empty nester. And then I have another one that's recovering from surgery. But I'm a dog mom at the moment because I have 3 dogs in my room. I am a runner. I'm a yogi. I am a friend. I love to hang out. I love to play cornhole. I'm competitive. I played basketball in college, and I still love anything. I'm like, I'm in. Give me 2 minutes to practice, or 2 months, or I just want to be, want to always win in any kind of sports game. Now I'm a business owner. So I guess that is into it, because it's really taking up a lot of my time. I'm not having a lot of free time now this first year of launching, but I'm just a middle-aged woman still trying to figure it out.
You and I both. Oh my gosh, you and I both. So many parallels, so many synergies inside of your who you are and all the things. I'm an athlete and also an empty nester. My daughter just actually graduated from college. If you can.
Oh my God.
That.
Well, I didn't even know you were old enough to have a daughter in college. So there you go. I need to ask you what you're doing.
So I feel it, and fiercely competitive. I mean, if you're going to play a sport, isn't it to win?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and if I lose, it sits with me. I'll go out. Everyone's napping, and I'm practicing my cornhole toss for hours so I can win that night.
So that means that's the difference between the people who execute and the people who don't. It's
that's right.
Put in the reps.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Somewhere someone is practicing.
But I love that you described yourself as an entrepreneur too, because I think that there's something really to be, I don't know, like there's something there to that because it entrepreneurship is something that's like in your blood. It's not something that you become, it's just kind of who you are. And I think athleticism and being really competitive and all of those things are character traits of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, you're right. Because you can't plan, you just have to persevere. And it's the same attitude you have in sports that can kind of make you successful now. I have been, people have come after me. The universe, even at times, I thought, I, I've had so much stuff go wrong and left turns and expensive mistakes. I went from being a sportscaster, having a radio show and having a staff and people to do things for me technically and everything else, not even really knowing how to export one document to a PDF. And in the space of like 2 years, I was laid off. And then I started to become a business owner. I've just had to figure it out. And I think it's that grit that you get or you're born with. I don't know if you can develop the grit to let you survive all of the cuts and the problems to come. But you don't plan, persevere. I say that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneur, as I mince my words here, entrepreneurship literally is a journey of solving problems. I always say this to anybody who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. If you don't like solving problems, you might want to stop for a second and really think about if you want to embark on this journey, because it's just a roller coaster ride of solving problems. And you have to
That's
step
right.
into a mentality of, oh, bring it on. How can I solve this problem? How can I make solving this problem fun?
That's right. And then being okay with your mistakes. I just have to like breathe in, breathe out, let it go. It really, luckily in this practice and the space that I'm in, I can really utilize some of the same tools and tricks to stay and manifest is the new word in my life and manifest better outcomes. Um, but
Absolutely.
I think the anxiety of it all was something I wasn't expecting because I've never really been an anxious person, but uh, I found myself going down a very like stressed out path of anxiety. It wake me up at night. I looked nervous. I had nervous energy because I was not. I was so unsure and unsettled, and there was so much uncertainty under my feet. I was in this river of doubt. And I just tried to figure out, make sure it wasn't an ocean or I'd drown. So I was like swimming across this river. I had to get to this other side and be like, okay, at this point, at 7 months in, I'm not ready to celebrate and say we made it and that we're going to be around for a long time. And I'm going to get even an ounce of some of the money I put in yet back because I don't know. But I do know that I'm really proud of what we've done. I'm really proud of some of the events that we've had, including yours, and some of the friendships and lives we've changed. It's been pretty powerful to have a space where people feel welcome and they come needing pain, they're in pain, they need help with their pain, they need community, they need connection again. And we've been able to provide it. It's, we're small, but we're very mighty because there's a lot of love in our space.
Oh my gosh, yes, there is. I think you nailed it on the community piece. I think that's I think that's the biggest focal point going forward in business, whether it's in person or online. People are craving someplace to be seen, someplace to contribute and to receive, all in the same space, which I think is truly what sums up community. Is you don't just come to be a taker, you come to be a giver too.
Yeah. that it does feel like that. I feel like it's a little bit so cheesy and corny, but it's a little bit like family. The students, they come, I have actually, it's a joke because if someone's normally coming to the Monday night class and I don't see them, I'll be like, hey, you okay? The class still good? Everything okay? I know you mentioned something about a work problem before, or I know this student, has, issues with her mother, or I know this student has issues at home, and I kind of have just an ear. It's kind of what I did for my job too as a reporter, and I would interview people, but then I was seeking information. Now I just kind of see that they just have something they need to talk about, and I just give them an ear. You converse with the heart, and a lot of things can happen, and you bond with people. And so that's kind of what we've done. I mean, I've worked hard for every single I would say customer, every student, every friend, every event we've ever had. I feel like it's a big hustle and a lot of work for me. And it's always been worth it, because when I find this, meet someone on the street, talk about the studio, give them a free class, email them, get them to come in, then they feel like they found their home. And so far, so good. I mean, we've had a lot of people find their home. So, and it's August. It's supposed to be slow, and we're busy.
You're
so
thriving.
Great.
Yes. I mean, and in Washington, D.C., that's like, it's crickets in August typically,
That's what everyone
right?
says. And we've been busy.
See, well, the proof is in the pudding there. I really, what's something that resonated with me that you just said is that you had to work for every person coming through the door, every human, every Omi that you have coming through the door. That I think that's something for anyone listening, is to really kind of pause and sit on that, because as we're building businesses, as we're building, especially, it's very prevalent in the online space for things to be portrayed that it's easy, that it's so easy that, you can just like put a post up and that they'll come, people will show up at your door, whether it's in person or online. And that's not really how it works. It all comes back down to building relationships, fostering them, and enjoying that process of creating that connection, which you have done such a fantastic job at Well and Wonder doing all of that.
It's been, it's boots on the ground work.
Yeah, grassroots for sure.
It's not, I thought, I'll put a sign on the door, I'll get a website, and I will put some social media posts. My name still has a little bit of like Q rating value in town. I was on the air for 20 years. Maybe people will just come, but that's not how it happened at all. And then when they come, you need to show them that you're worthy of it. Because listen, inflation, stress, all the COVID, the pandemic, the third wave, fourth wave, who knows how many more waves we have to get through. People have a lot of barriers to come and take a class or an event that was supposedly we're like selling wellness. So it's a tricky line. I keep my prices are lower than anyone's. Our drop-in rates lower than anyone that I've found. And we do packages, and we have this really ridiculous deal where we partnered with our pizza neighbor, Pete's Pizza, and you can get 3 classes and a large cheese pizza for $30, which is a large cheese pizza is $23. We know that sometimes even giving it away is a big ask, because what we're asking you to do is to come in and be uncomfortable, whether you're in a pose or you're in a breath workshop or you're in a sound bath or you're in some bouquet building, we're doing a beading, we do a paint and chill. So those aren't uncomfortable, but most of them, you're laying there with your thoughts or your body, and you're trying to just be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it took me a really long time. I hated yoga at first. I would never do a sound bath or a breath workshop. I thought it was a huge waste of time because I couldn't sit still. I wanted to avoid, I wanted to push back. I wanted to just keep going forward. And when COVID hit, it forced me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, just be like, oh my God, how did I get here? There's so many things that I'm still working on. I had a journey last night in the class where I kind of identified something in my youth that has made me really avoid conflict for my life. And being a conflict avoider is not always the best thing. And I need to, like, especially as a business owner, face different conflicts, have difficult conversations instead of just cutting someone off and moving, on. So I'm still working on it, and I always will be. I just think that's what we try to sell now, is that we're just here to help you work on it. And we're trying to keep it as low as we can and keep our doors open. No one's looking to like live on a beach and, work from home in my space. Everyone there is working with aligned with the same vision. We sniff you out. And it's like, if you're, high maintenance, this is all about me and where's my money, you're not going to be around at our space that long. Our space is really about healing and then hanging together in your new community.
Ah, I love that. We need more of that in this world for sure. So let's reverse it back just a little bit. I'd love to hear a little bit of the journey of your journey through broadcast journalism, sports and then how it is that you fully arrived and the conception of how Well and Wonder came to be, because it is such a dynamic space. It's more than yoga. It's more than sound baths. So give us a little like encapsulated view of that.
Okay, I always knew I wanted to be a sportscaster. I grew up in a big family in Iowa, and I played lots of sports, and I played basketball in college. And it was right when there wasn't a lot of women in sports when I was growing up, becoming a huge sports fan. I was a tomboy, played 6 sports in high school, but right when I was in college and I was studying journalism, I knew I wanted to be a reporter. I was kind of a little reporter from my family because I was number 6 of 7.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so I love to tell on people, and it was a natural fit. So I went into journalism school in college at Drake, and I played basketball. And then I got to see a lot of the sports casters or sports journalists come through and interview us. We had a pretty good team. And I was like, that's what I really should do. My advisor also said, you know, you're really not. I did some news internships, but it just didn't float my boat. And since I was already into sports, it was just a natural fit. So I got a couple of jobs in. Moved around. My first job was $13,000. I didn't care. I worked all the time for 13,000. I think the check every 2 weeks was like 243. McDonald's was a splurge. Thank goodness. And I do always pinch myself that I had parents who were not rich because I had 7 kids, and we tried to all do private school, but at least gave me a gas card, even though should be on my own. They still supported all of us in different ways and helpful ways. And so I would never have been able to take a $13,000 a year job without my dad's gas card, because I was able to drive back to Des Moines all the time, get my laundry done. That's how poor I was. And so eventually just work on your craft. You're getting more and more comfortable in front of the camera. You're getting more and more comfortable with the voice that you have. I moved up different markets. I finally landed in Des Moines, Iowa, where I was from. I was the weekend sports anchor. Couple of years there, shooting my own video, editing my own video. I got a job in Denver where I didn't have to shoot or edit anymore. Bigger market. I had 2 sisters there. I worked for the NBC there as well. And then when my contract was coming up, they wanted to hire someone new to be the full-time sports person. And here I am 27 or 28. And my news director, which was a woman, said, this market's not ready for a woman to be the main sportscaster. And I just had to say, thank you for your honesty. Of course, I'm crushed. And they ended up hiring someone who at a market in Iowa was below me. And so you're like market and stature. I was above where he was, and he leapfrogged me because he went to a smaller market. And I thought, he's leapfrogging me because he's a man. And so I know I didn't say anything. She understood. She's doing what she's best for her station. Back in 1995, 98, maybe the market wasn't ready to have a female in a main role, but we've come a long way. So anyway, I got an agent, got a job out here, and I said it was going to be a 3-year deal. I told my news director when I left, I'll be back. I'm going to go get this big market experience, make a name for myself. And I'm coming back to Denver and crushing. This is where I want to live. Anyway, I fell in love with DC, and I fell in love, and then had 2 kids, and here I am, and still in DC. I'm a native now, 21 years in.
Yeah. Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah. So I was the sportscaster here first on Comcast Sportsnet, and then NBC Sports Washington, and then NBC4, which is the local station. And I've had quite a career. I've covered all the teams. I've traveled the world, went to London with the Redskins. I went to Canada with the Caps on all their playoff runs. I've been to all the spring training. I covered the World Series. I covered a World Series parade. I had my own radio show. As you can tell, I'm very long-winded. I could fill up 2 hours with one question. And I have my own radio show on ESPN. My favorite thing of everything, before you even get to that question, was covering the Nationals in 2019, the year they won the World Series. I think it was really famous, the May 19th, that when they were, all the 20 something games below 500, I was in the dugout talking about how they were still being positive, and they manifested, themselves out of this hole. I didn't say that word in particular, but I was just talking about how they don't look at their record. They're not looking at all the losses that have piled up in this young season. They're only worried about today. And it's coming down from the manager, Davey Martinez. And I remember that weekend they ended up sweeping the Marlins, and they started to climb out of a hole, and it just had so much magic. They started to dance in the dugout. They started to have so much fun, and it led to a World Series. They never got down on themselves after a loss. They learned from it, and they kept positive about the next day. It was like it never happened. And that never happened to any Nats team I ever covered. And it never happens to the other teams. And it just was a lesson for me about really staying positive in the face of all adversity. So
Yeah, it was laying groundwork for you and
it really
your
was.
entrepreneurship, right?
It really was. And the entrepreneurship was something I was reluctant. I thought I was just investing some money into a business. It was going to be a group of us that were going to go after a medical dispensary. And we found the space, and we got the landlord to play with a recreational type dispensary wellness center until we got our licensing. Anyway, as you know, business partnerships do, there was 4 of us, and one jumped off, and then another one jumped off, and then I was on the lease. And so I was like, okay, here I go. Let's see what I got. And my lease was personally guaranteed for 2 years. I have another year on that, but so it's going well. And I've curated a business plan from when I started to where now. I pivoted a few things, but it's exactly what I wanted it to be.
I love it. You have to be able to pivot, be resilient, and just keep moving forward. So all these life lessons have carried you to where you are to now and served you so well.
Mm-hmm.
So along this journey, there had to have been somebody who was a super expander for you. I'm sure you probably have so many stories from your very dynamic career in sports, but I'd love to hear just one, maybe 2 super expander stories. Someone who really, I don't know, called you up, inspired you, showed you that your dreams were possible.
Well, first is Lindsay Dabney Cabrera. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
You were friends with her, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
So I was, well, number one, I was like, I can't do this, Lindsay. What am I going to do? I'm in this space, and I've never run a business before. I don't know. She and her sister opened up Bella Bethesda, and they had no business experience before either. And it became a successful business. And so I was just talking to her, just getting some advice and feeling pretty alone in it. And she called me the next day and said, I want to invest. I want to be a part owner. I believe in you. Let's do it. And it was just a magical time, because I don't think I would have made it. You can't really do it alone. That's the thing. You need supportive people around you, whether they're, people that live in your house, or people just believe in you. Sometimes it's someone on the outside, because people know you're like my brothers and sisters are like, how in the hell are you going to be able to run a business? You can't even call me back in time, And so I've never been a multitasker, and I've had to learn that. I've always really liked to keep my days easy and one thing at a time. But some people are really good at multitasking. They're probably better entrepreneurs. I'm just figuring it out. And so to have Lindsay believe in me, and to believe in me and that put money in, then it's like, okay, you're holding me accountable. I'm not going to let you down. I'm going to do everything I can. I can't promise it. We're going to turn your money into something profitable, but I can tell you, I'm going to kill myself trying. And so then she's ended up, building out her own salon in the back. So we saw that. So now it's like also like we call it a studio for balance and beauty. And then another one would be John Umberger. John Umberger passed away, unfortunately, early June. And so it's a little painful to talk about him, but he was in between jobs. He was a political analyst type, and he was in between jobs, and came on in December. And he was just somebody who was really well versed in this space. And he introduced me to a lot of the different compounds and products. He took me to my first sound bath a year and a half ago. And so he was with me every day for the first couple of months, getting us off the ground, and just having someone there also believed in you. And that was the last thing he texted. I believe in you. He died unexpectedly, heart attack, 2 months ago. So that was very sad, but he's still with us, and we're having a big celebration of his life coming up. But he was super. He was just one of those really positive, big gay guys that was into this space and into this wellness, and talked to me about everything. He had almost died, had hit by a car. So these are some of the modalities that helped him. And they were definitely being introduced to me and helping me. And together we created this, we're going to have a sound bath every month. We're going to do breath work. At the time I wasn't even sure, I was like $35 a person. And I wasn't sure. I was like, is it really worth it to lay there on a mat and just being watched? And I was like, oh, yes, it is. That's so cheap for the kind of event and kind of a night that you're getting. It's a steal to have.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, $35 to have a kind of a life-changing experience. And just to go into that without you asking, I know we're not supposed to talk about you, but your hypno breath work, which is what, 25 minutes of breathing cued by you, right?
Yeah, it's about that
25
25 to 30 minutes, depending.
And then
In person's a little longer, but
well, and just to be in that meditative state and to do that with your breath so that your brain can your body quiets and your soul speaks, and to have people come up. And it wasn't, and then I'm like, am I just being biased because I'm, I'm the owner here, but to have people come up and start to share what clarity they were able to get, to have somebody say, you know what, I'm quitting my job, I'm going to write that musical, or to have somebody else talk about different things they had been stuck on and finding the answers. And it's not that the answers are the answers, it's that you are feeling unstuck. And to see that happen in a span of an hour for some people, and then the mood afterwards when we were all sipping and snacking on some kombucha and some chips, and just to feel like love because we all just had this shared experience. I just think it's so powerful. I and so much cheaper than therapy. Although I know therapy's good too. I should have been in therapy a long time ago when I was dealing with some stuff, and I never could find someone or had the money or had the time. And I found these experiences instead. I'm not saying therapy is wrong, because I wish that I would have found it. And if my kids ever need it, I would definitely run them to therapy. But I've been able to, save money by not going to a therapist, by having these events and experiences and
yeah,
my
well, they
own journey
say,
of self-discovery. Yeah.
yeah, they say one breath work session can be the equivalent of 2 years of therapy.
So I mean, I believe it now, because my dog. Sorry, I hope that's not bothering you. But
No, not
I have
at
these
nothing.
little Muppets. I get it, because it teaches you also on, if you're having I was talking to another friend who lost her husband, and we were going over the 3-part breath, and talking about, if you feel a panic attack coming on, this is just something you can do right now, that can help you keep your heart rate normal and keep your focus and not actually start spinning.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So taking some breaths really is. You can basically regulate your heart rate variability, which essentially, this is the thing that it's like the divider between, if you look at people who are executing big, like Beyonce on stage, right? She knows how to do that. Like she knows how to like regulate her nervous system to get up and execute. Obviously, she's super talented and put in all the reps, but that's like the defining difference between us, like regular folks, and the people who are, big names, big performers out there. They have this actual ability and they know how to do that. I mean, on top of the talent, but it's
In sports too. I think in sports, and I didn't know I was doing it, but my dugout reporting was pretty stressful. It seems easy, like, let's go down to Carol in dugout, who has more on what Davey was saying. And so it's pretty easy, right? It's just a minute, but you're trying to fit a lot of information in that minute, and you don't know when they're going to come to you. And so I'm sitting there and be like, okay, before a game, let's say before a game, I say to the producer who's in the truck, I have information on these 10 topics. Okay. His batting and where his batting helmet, not wearing it or wearing it, or what Davey said before the game, or Max Scherzer's back issue, or Sean Doolittle toe tapping now in his delivery. Anyway, I give them all these topics, and I don't know. It's just whenever it comes up, and Trey Turner laying out for a hard grounder, and how he kind of gives up his body in these moments and why he does it. And so in the game, they just will go the game. And then when something clicks, they're like, let's go to Carol. And so you're just sitting there on edge the entire game, not even knowing what you're about to contribute. And you're just listening to the broadcast. And all of a sudden, Bob Carpenter's talking about Trey Turner. Trey just legged out a grounder and stolen out. And he's, comes to me on the spot. So you're like, yeah, I just talked to Trey about that. I asked him, would he rather steal an out or steal a run because he's so fast on the bases, whatever it is, you just have to be ready for it. And so I would sit there in the dugout and do this because I just didn't want to F up. You don't want to mess up. You only have like a minute. You don't want to talk over Bob or stumble around or sound like you didn't know what you're talking about or sound nervous.
Yeah.
So doing your breath work is absolutely what helped me in my first career, which was, broadcasting and sportscasting. And now it helps me in my new career, which is figuring myself out and helping others do the same.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So in all of that, I have to ask, what is doing big things, starting a business in your career in broadcast, there has to be something that drives you beyond, it's usually bigger than paychecks. It's bigger than like goals. It's a feeling. So the feeling, what is it that really drives you?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's kind of like I'm going for broke too. So I was newly single right before COVID, and my 17-year marriage ended. And so then I am definitely being driven by the fact that I want to not live in a van down by the river, which can happen because I just didn't foresee that. I still felt like I had so much to offer. I forgot that I was turning 50, and the world doesn't always see you that way. So I think I have something to prove. I want to be able to continue to pay for a roof over my head. I'm not sleeping in silk sheets. I once was, but I'm not anymore. And I definitely want to, just have something that my kids will be proud of me for. Like, I think they were proud of my old career. It was kind of like, I'm like, come on, we're gonna go interview Bryce Harper. Come on, you can sit and watch. It's like, Mom, they didn't care because I was always trying to, come on, we're gonna go to London and watch the Redskins game. No. So everybody they knew was on TV. So I don't think they really appreciated it as much. But now I feel like, because I just had a class for my son and his friends before they went to college, and I feel like they're really proud of what I've been able to do. And it really buoys me. And just knowing that, the kids can talk to their friends and be like, yeah, she's not making any money in it, but she's the owner and she can have us over for a class. And I just thought that was, when I saw their eyes light up when their friends were talking to them about it, that made me really proud.
Oh, I love that. That makes me, it warms my heart so much. And that makes it all worth it.
Yeah, it does. It's the only thing is, and especially, do I have time for them? I didn't in my old career as much as I wanted to. It always had to come first. I worked Thanksgiving because the Redskins were playing the Giants, or I had to go out of town, even though I was the room mom. They need to host that Halloween party for your class. I juggled a heck of a lot. I think I got off a red eye and came right to that Halloween party that I'm thinking of. But so I just wasn't present as much as I should have been. Even when I was with them, I was always thinking about something else. And so now I've learned how to be really authentic and present. And I find that people in our space and in our industry, I think that's what we are all trying to be, is authentic and present. And when you can do that, it allows people to kind of see right through what you're trying to sell. And so they know if you're authentic, if you're being genuine. And I think that has really helped me.
Yeah, that is, if you learn that life lesson and learn how to bring that forth, being able to be present and authentic, I think that's a life well lived and a job well done, for sure.
Yeah. I still struggle with it sometimes because I can get so busy and unfocused, but I have to take my breaths and remember to just be present right now. I get a lot of the, you just go through like different cycles of energy, and I go through those cycles of doubt, or I'll still be tethered to the past of what I wanted, where I thought I should be by now, and why am I not on, hosting an ESPN show for millions of dollars? And sometimes you get pangs of jealousy on people who've, been able to leapfrog you, but I can recognize that now, and I can realize that I don't want to be tethered to that past, and then I want to be bold and be able to face the unknown. And it's going to carry me the next 50 years or however long I'm lucky enough to go.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it is. And with all of that wisdom, if you had just, I don't know, like a little parting nugget of advice or wisdom that you wanted to share, what would it be?
So I guess the quote I'm driving on right now, I love quotes. And the one I'm really thinking on often is Marcus Aurelius, when he said, I wish I could, you want to get me, I don't want to, I'll paraphrase it and then I'm going to read it to you because I keep it in my phone. But consider yourself dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left of it and live it properly. And that's basically the quote, but I'd like to just make sure that I get it right. And I try to live that way now, because you just don't know how. I've lost some friends. You don't know how much time you're going to have. You could go in an instant, and I just want to be present in today. And that's it. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left of it and live it properly. Marcus Aurelius. It's just my friend Wendy Rieger, who passed away recently, she had talked about that. It just requires so much courage and so much strength, that growing older is not for wimps, and that you just have to, basically, her words, stop raging at the dying of the light, really start embracing the moment, embracing each other.
Yes, absolutely. So totally, it's and presence, and being able to be in that is, I think, the path to doing that. So for everyone listening, how can they find you? What's the best way for them to get into your world, whether they're local to the
I'll be
DC
walking
area?
the dogs all the time. Always walking my dogs. No, so that's one. This is two. This is Buddy. He's so cute. He's a therapy dog too. So he's in my lap. These two fight over me. And then I have this one. She's sleeping right now. You've met her at the studio, Rona. Rona comes to work with me. Because she's naughty. She has to come to work with me. Otherwise, she's chewed up 2 couches and a couple of chairs. So to find me at Well and Wonder Studio in DC, it's wellandwonderstudio.com. I'm Carol at wellandwonderstudio.com for email, Carol at, and CAROL. So you can email me or you can come by. There's a website. We have classes, we have experiences. We have a sound bath coming up on the 24th. I know we're talking about what we're going to do with our next hypno breath work and when we're going to fit that in. I think it'll be third week, Corey, in September, because we want to get people, because it's getting back to school and everything.
Yes, so it is that funky little time.
Yeah, so we're going to get through that funky time, but you'll be able to find Corey at our space as well, because her hypno breath work is a can't miss event. I don't care how much we charge or she charges, it's going to be worth every penny. And just to be in a room of like-minded people who are looking for clarity, and to be able to just open yourself up to seeing if you can get it. Can I say one more thing? I know you're trying to end it.
Yeah.
My first sound bath, it reminded me of the hypno breath work, the shop that I did with you. First sound bath, I was thinking I was just going to take this nap. And I was like, it's John Umberger's birthday, and I had to go because I didn't want to be rude. And he was inviting all his friends to the sound bath. So I went and I was like, I'll just sleep. And I just laid there breathing, and all of a sudden some noise or something, boom, gave me a memory of my grandparents' farm. I haven't been on their farm since I was 9. They died when I was 10. They moved from the farm, but I remember just laying there and being able to take a virtual tour of like walking up the stairs and going seeing their kitchen. I actually could even recognize the little bowl of candy on their kitchen, or things, the linoleum, the blue linoleum. And I was like, you couldn't have paid me $1 million to remember those memories. And they were all so happy. So this isn't just trauma that comes up. This is good stuff too. And I was able to take their, the farm. I remember everything, and just outside in the grasshoppers. And it was so powerful. Like, I was so healing. I just was so excited that I had that moment, and just to be able to relive that. I'm still emotional talking about it. So I was just so incredible that I wanted to tell people about it. And then here we are, we're having them. And so some people are in pain, and some people are just, reliving joyful memories. But thank you for allowing me to talk about it, for giving me
Yes.
experiences, to have ability to allow other people to see it. Because even though, like, sometimes I'm emotional about it, it's because I just can't believe how much it's helped me. Anyway,
It is, gives
so
me
there you
chills.
go.
That's how I ended up in this world, because it's so impactful. And I think once you have an experience like that, you're forever changed, and you just want to share it with everyone else. You're like, this thing that like I just found is so, I've been in pain, or in, not in presence, or struggling with something for so long. And in this experience, I got so much clarity. You were able to feel again, because so many of us are walking around kind of numbed out from what is going on in the world, or in our own lives, or the trauma that we carry from, our past experiences. And in these safe containers, you can move through it and release it.
Yeah. Just see what comes to you. You don't know. You don't know what will. But then you get the power of being awake and conscious to be able to figure it out.
Yeah,
It's coming to you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So much power in that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you
I'll see you
so much for being here, for taking the time. You are a busy woman, growing a business. It's a full-time job. I know that. So I am so grateful for the time that you spent here, sharing your journey, sharing your light with us.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me do it from home too. My little boo. My little
Yes.
boo boo. Anyway,
We will
Corey, I
catch
love
you.
you.
Oh, I love you
Keep
too.
doing good work.
You too. We will catch you in the next episode.